Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to prop it up? Meet the PopSockets phone grip with expanding kickstand in black, your new must-have accessory. Don't miss out. Grab yours today. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Watch as Hamas gunman is executed by family of man he shot dead, as terrorists lose grip on Gaza and Israel marches in. This is the shocking moment. A Hamas gunman is executed by the family of a man he shot dead. The terror group are losing their blood-soaked grip on Gaza as protests against their rule have erupted. Israel is also launching a new military operation as it looks to widen its control in the Strip and wipe out the terror group. Shocking video shows the man in a sky blue t-shirt being led through the street before several members of his victim's family opened fire, killing him instantly. The Sun has cut the footage before the gruesome moment, but it is now being shared widely on Palestinian media as protests continue. Members of the Abu Samra clan in the city of Deir al-Balah in Gaza were filmed killing the alleged Hamas member in the street. They claim to have identified him as a Hamas operative responsible for the deadly shooting of one of their relatives earlier in the day. Footage of the execution of the killer was shared widely on Palestinian social media and appeared to highlight growing fury with Hamas among Gaza civilians. The incident follows days of unprecedented protests on the streets of Gaza against the iron rule of Hamas, which triggered Israel's brutal response by launching the October 7 attacks. Abdulrahman Shayban Abu Samra was shot dead in cold blood while he waited in line for flour to feed his family in Deir al-Balah. Gaza has dozens of powerful families like the Abu Samra family, who function as well-organized armed groups which do not have formal links to Hamas. Infighting has erupted after thousands of Gazans took to the streets in recent days calling for an end to Hamas rule and the bloodshed they sowed. Hamas responded by kidnapping, torturing, and executing a 22-year-old Palestinian man who took part in protests against the terror group, according to his family. Odeh Nasser al-Rabi's body was left in front of his family's home, and on Saturday, many dozens were filmed participating in his funeral procession, shouting, "Hamas out." His brother Hassan Rabi told CNN, "They took him, they kept torturing him. They then called me and said, 'Come get your brother.'" He said when he went to collect his brother, he found the fighters had him tied by the neck with a rope and were dragging him, beating him. When Hassan found Odeh, he was still alive, but he later died in hospital. Israel has called on Palestinians to rise up against Hamas as it launched a final showdown with terror forces, including a major ground operation. Hamas's power base appeared to be crumbling as Israeli troops launched a final, destroy and clear, showdown operation in Gaza. Defense Minister Israel Katz announced forces were expanding attacks to seize large areas of the 25-mile coastal strip controlled by the Iran-backed Islamist fanatics since 2007. Massive Israeli airstrikes began along the Egypt border as ground forces massing nearby awaited a green light to smash Hamas lairs. Gaza hospitals reported at least 15 Palestinians were killed overnight, and 10 more early Wednesday in an attack on a UN-run aid agency clinic. Katz said the expanded operation aimed to destroy and clear the area of terrorists and terrorist infrastructure, and would require a mass evacuation of Palestinian civilians. Israel's military has already ordered 140,000 people in Rafah to leave their homes and issued new evacuation orders for parts of northern Gaza. PM Benjamin Netanyahu renewed its offensive on March 18, after Hamas continued to block negotiations to free around 20 hostages taken in the October 7 attacks still alive in Gaza. Netanyahu has insisted military pressure was the best way to get back the remaining hostages as he repeated calls for Hamas to disarm. Gaza's health ministry said 41 people were killed in Israeli strikes on Wednesday, with 19 people, including children, killed in a strike at a UN clinic being used to house displaced people. Palestinian radio reported that the area around Rafah was almost completely empty following the evacuation orders. Katz's statement did not make clear how much land Israel intended to seize or whether the move represented a permanent annexation of territory, which would add further pressure on a population already living in one of the most crowded areas in the world. According to the Israeli rights group Gisha, Israel has already taken control of some 62 square kilometers, or around 17% of the total area of Gaza, as part of a buffer zone around the edges of the enclave. The IDF has issued evacuation orders to those living around the southern city of Rafah and towards the city of Khan Yunis, telling them to move to the Al-Mawasi area on the shore. Israeli leaders are pressing on after being encouraged by signs of protest in Gaza against Hamas, which has controlled the Strip since 2007. On October 7, 2023, Hamas launched a brutal surprise attack on Israel, marking one of the darkest days in the nation's history. Terrorists stormed across the border from Gaza, killing over 1,200 people, most of them civilians, and kidnapping 250 others, including women, children, and the elderly. The coordinated assault saw heavily armed fighters infiltrate Israeli towns, kibbutzim, and military bases, unleashing indiscriminate violence. Innocent families were slaughtered in their homes, and graphic footage of the atrocities spread across social media, leaving the world in shock. And as well as attacking people in their homes, they stormed the Nova Music Peace Festival, killing at least 364 people there alone. The massacre triggered a swift and massive retaliatory response from Israel, escalating into a full-scale war. The attack not only reignited long-standing tensions in the region, but also left deep scars on both sides of the conflict, setting the stage for the 15 months of devastation that followed.